Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to do another one of those kind of more informational style videos where I just go over a bunch of stuff in the game, and I got the idea to go over every single skill that is currently in the game as of update 10.55. Any skill added after update 10.55 will not be talked about in this video. I'm also not going crazy into details, so this video isn't 25 minutes. Let's get started with the first skill I want to talk about. That is going to be Ground Break. Ground Break is a level 10 ability that is super weak. Basically what you do is you slam your sword into the ground, dealing massive amount of damage. It is a great skill for level 10. Anything past like 20 don't really use this. Next is Cyclone. Cyclone is a very good skill for its level of 10. I used it until level 50. It basically what it does is a mini version of Windstorm. Not very effective, in fact it is extremely weak, but for level 10 it is pretty good. You spin yourself in a circle to deal constant damage. You do, as said, nothing special. Next is Moon Slice. This is affected by the Lunar Rune and becomes a very valuable ability once the Lunar Rune is equipped. But its normal ability is a spiritual energy that is used to create a crescent slice that cuts through enemies. With Lunar, it cuts through all enemies. Without it, it doesn't. Basically just a powerful slice, super good at level 25, but it does drop off kind of quickly if you're not using Lunar. Next is SOI Splitter, which is one of the best abilities in the entire game, if not the best ability due to Rune of the Blade. Anyways, what you do is you throw a sword that spins on contact with an enemy, and it does constant damage for a little bit. So it's basically a DOT, it requires level 50. This thing's affected by Rune of the Blade and Hurricane. Hurricane will make it do 2 times damage and makes it turn into a more tornado form, and it is a very aesthetically pleasing skill to look at and very effective. Blade of the Rune triples the SOI Splitter ability and triples its basic damage, basically making it do just dummy damage. You can do 12-second net hardcore nest runs with this ability. It's pretty stupid. Next is Moon Cutters. Basically what this is a better version of Moon Slice. You throw 3 multiple crescent shaped slices. It is level 80 and is also greatly affected by Lunar. With Lunar, this thing is a beast because it is spammable. So if you have Lunar Rune, both Moon Cutters and Moon Slice are great. Without them, they're kind of okay. However, Moon Cutters you will be using a lot due to their spammable abilities. Cheddar is the best ability in this game to use without a rune. There is no question about it. All it does is an instant massive amount of damage, but it has a large cooldown time of 19 seconds, and it requires level 200 and is affected by a ton of runes as well. One of the runes is Rune of the Battler. This rune basically makes Shadow just do a ton more damage. It doesn't change anything aesthetically that I know of. I haven't used it in a while, so I could be wrong. All it does though is increase Shatter's damage. Next, the Fire God rune greatly affects Shatter because it makes Shatter do a DOT over time damage versus an instant POW. Okay guys, so next we have Windstorm. So what does Windstorm do? Windstorm is a level 290 ability. Basically what you do is you spin in a circle like super duper fast and have your sword out. It has like a red trail effect. It's super effective, does massive DPS, and it's mainly known for the rune Hurricane because Hurricane strongly affects Windstorm and makes Windstorm one of the highest DPS attacks in the entire game, and overall Windstorm is one of the top tier skills. Next is Blaze Slash. So what is Blaze Slash? Blaze Slash is a blazing hot vertical slash that will deal DOT damage. It is level 400. It is very famous for the Azure rune. This with Azure rune is one of the absolute highest DPS options in the entire game. Shreds everything, and I guarantee you most of you watching this have used this ability at least 500,000 times. Next is Divider. What is Divider? Well, it is the sword dash kind of samurai ability where you dart forward, you charge your enemy and slice everything in your path. It is level 500, except for this ability on its own is rather poor and weak, and I don't recommend you use it. If you're using Fire God or the Rune of the Fire God, then you kind of got to use it because this plus Rune of the Fire God equals absolute death. It does 300% more damage and DOT damage, and it's just crazy good. The final offensive ability is Heaven Splitter. Basically massive sword of death. Is a shatter on crack. It is the best non-rune ability in the entire game by far. It requires level 790 though, so basically max only. If you don't have a rune yet by that level, use Heaven Splitter is basically what I'm telling you. This ability does not have a rune yet. It probably will within the next update, which will make it just dumb. Now we're moving on to the more defensive and passive abilities. So first we have Safeguard. Safeguard to get at level 12, it is actually a very good defensive ability. What it does is it creates a bubble that negates all incoming damage by 70% for 5 seconds. For level 12, it is pretty insane. I use this ability a lot in the early game in order to do raids on higher difficulties. Don't underestimate Safeguard if you're being a defensive player. Safeguard is a very good ability. Next is Trust Shield, Lure Jab, which used to be one of the best abilities in the game. Now it's gone down a bit. Anyways, Lure Jab is a jab with a sword to lower your enemy's defense by 50%. It requires level 20. You're going to use this ability all the way into max level plus. Basically, all it does is make your enemy even weaker, and that's basically it. Super simple, super good. Is affected by Silencer. This plus Silencer is just a stupidly good combo. So yeah, you will definitely be using Lure Jab a lot in the late game. Next is Calamity, pretty much the most used skill currently, because no matter what you're doing, you're probably using Calamity. What it does is it buffs everyone around you to have 80% damage increase for 10 seconds, and it requires level 40. After level 40, you're always using Calamity. There's like no question about it. No rune for Calamity yet, but Calamity is already insanely good and basically need him. Next is the most complicated skill in the entire game, Havoc, which is also by far the best skill in the game, and you will be using this a lot. So what does it do? Well, it increases damage the lower the health you have after you activate it. At 70% health, your damage is increased by 50%. At 50% health, your damage is increased by 75%. At 25% health, your damage is increased by 125% damage, and it requires level 120 to use. Just by the description, you can tell this thing is dumb. If you're at 25% health HP, you basically are getting another tier 3 bonus pet gem worth of damage, and it's nuts. It lets you do nest in literally 11 seconds. It's crazy. Next is the Sword of Mending, which is kind of fallen off a little bit, probably because Havoc exists now. Mending basically is a sword that heals you and deals minor DPS to the enemies within its healing aura. That's really it. There's nothing special about it. It does have a rune that increases its healing abilities, which does make it even more effective, but currently in the game, Mending is not a very useful skill. In the next update, if the raids are hard enough, I can see it becoming very viable. Next is probably the most useless ability in a game in my opinion. I've literally never used this, is Cloak Alight. It creates a cloak with 30% of the caster's HP that absorbs incoming damage. It requires level 200. Not a very good ability. I recommend you just use Mending over this, and or even just Havoc to do more damage. Don't use Cloak Alight, is not very good. Anyways guys, thanks for watching this kind of quick video going over all the skills in the game. Hopefully this taught you something. If it did, leave a comment down below if you learned something new. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great rest of your day. Later.